people.
Tonight on Living Earth, the how-to of hydroponics, new systems for the home gardener. Homemade fertilizer, Kay Baxter brews up a mean mix. A beautification plan that's set in concrete. How to make a hanging basket. And the search is on for the Growing Today Green Thumb of 1994.
Now, call me old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned!
Thank you. But I always thought the only proper way to grow plants was in the soil. After all, that's the natural way to do it, isn't it? But recently, I met a couple of guys who changed my mind. They're into hydroponics, or more correctly, soilless cultivation.
Lucas Carusi and John Drummond are the brains behind International Hydroponics Limited, a company promoting soilless cultivation commercially and to the home gardener.
One of the main advantages is to have control over what you're doing. There are less problems with disease, you need less spraying. There are normally less fertilizer used because you don't wash anything away, which also has naturally an influence on pollution. There is an advantage in regard to water savings. There is no other loss of water other than through natural take-up of the plant. While outdoors or even in greenhouses, most of the water actually draining off, not used by the plant at all.
In fact, a hydroponic crop will use only 3 to 7% of the water it takes to grow the same crop in the ground. At Kenza Lodge, one of the country's top tomato producers, they're experimenting with a new system of hydroponics, deep flow technique. Although the first plants have just gone in, already the results are dramatic.
We planted these 10 days ago. They were approximately 2 weeks old when we first put them into the system. So the amount of growth from these ones here have been very quick. Root growth in them, they've got a lot of hair, roots on them, they're taking off very, very fast. With bag culture or growing in sawdust, it's a run-to-waste system. We waste approximately 20% of our fertiliser and also water. And this way it's a confined system, so you're wasting very little. Also for the environment, you're not dumping it outside.
Most of the off-season produce you buy, particularly tomatoes and peppers, will have been grown hydroponically. In Europe, 80% of all vegetables are now grown this way. Testing against conventionally grown crops has shown hydroponic produce contains more vitamins and natural sugars and not nearly as much nitrates and heavy metals like cadmium. Compared to conventional crops, hydroponics is faster and yields can be 25 to 45% higher.
Mainly because a plant growing in the hydroponic system gets exactly what it is supposed to get. While a plant in soil grown has virtually to search with the root system for fertilizers for nutrition as well as for water. All those elements are already available in the hydroponic system.
The new deep flow technique that Trevor's using is a refinement, a simplification of nutrient film technique, or NFT, the most common hydroponic system around. Here, a nutrient solution is pumped up from a container through the pipes, feeding the plants at individual gullies. It then recycles back through the system. Although it's more effective on a commercial scale, it's also widely used by home gardeners. After a lifetime growing veggies in the ground, Bill and Alba Madigan made the change 2 years ago.
Well, I got sick of digging in the garden and
I got sick of seeing a lake here.
Lake of water. Oh, yes.
And that's what it was. And I got sick of him sitting inside in the morning when I was with him doing nothing.
What other advantages have you found growing hydroponics, apart from, not having to dig so much?
Well, you don't have to bend. No bending. You can just stand there and work on it, you see.
And it's all
keep your feet dry.
For putting my cuttings in.
Ideal for cutting.
Yes.
No slugs. Take that cauliflower down there, for instance. When we cut that, it'll be absolutely milk white inside. Not a slug anywhere. But if you took them out of the garden over there, there'd be dozens of them.
With typical Kiwi ingenuity, Bill has developed hydroponic systems in bigger containers. A recycled plastic jerry can is a great home for strawberries. And at International Hydroponics, Lucas and John are also trying to make hydroponics more versatile and user-friendly for home gardeners.
John, what's this system called?
The system is called the Wick Garden, and it is the oldest form of hydroponic growing. It is where you have a plant with a wick, which is immersed in the nutrients in this container.
No pump?
No pump at all.
No, so you just have to top up the nutrients in the water every so often and you're away?
Yes, yes.
Great. How much for this system?
This system here, you're looking at around about $80.
And pretty versatile inside, outside?
Yes, totally versatile. As long as you give it shelter and warmth, it's fine.
You'll get results.
This system is based on a flood and drain system and would suit small herbs and a feature place in a house or building.
And John, this is another one of your systems, an impressive range of vegetables, houseplants and herbs down the back there. And what's this called?
This is our grab and grow system. And it is containers where the plants can do their own thing without being root bound. They can be moved around at will to suit the various requirements of the plant, i.e. light, shade and support. The system itself is modular so that it can be taken out with the same pump up to approximately 40 buckets or 40 containers.
Right, you've got about 10 here.
How
much for a system like this?
A system like this, you're looking at $150.
Very versatile too. I imagine if you're shifting your house, you take your garden with you.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Hydroponics is the answer to growing your own food quickly, cleanly, and in a very small space. Commercially, it's undoubtedly the way of the future. It neatly avoids the environmental problems plaguing conventional horticulture. It means crops can be grown closer to their market, cutting down on transportation and promoting freshness. And the increased yields bring a gleam to any grower's eye. We'll have more details on hydroponics in this week's fact sheet.
These plants here, these lovely big bulbs are pineapple lilies, or eucomis from South Africa, where they're often used as potions. But here, they're totally undervalued. They're great plants for ground cover, they're hardy, they're disease-free, and they grow in almost any condition. Time to plant them is in late winter, and the bulbs are just set almost on the surface. You don't plant them too deeply, otherwise they could rot. They have marvellous shaped flowers, and this is where they've been undervalued for floral work. They crawl and weave, and they can be used in among bits of wood, driftwood. The large bulbs are readily available in garden centres or shops, but it's great to be able to swap them with friends and make up a collection of all the different forms and varieties.
Coming up, homemade fertiliser, dressing up an old cement works, and a few thoughts on water.
Hi, I'm Paul Rose from Motown, and I promise you at Motown you'll do a good deal better. Our Motown people are real machinery people. Our owner-operated dealerships are real professionals. They'll help you select the best machines for your needs and budget. They'll demonstrate in your own garden if necessary and service in their own workshops. What's more, bulk buying means that Motown's prices are often lower than anywhere else. Look at these mower prices starting at only $349. The engine alone is worth heaps more than that. We've got new white catcher models and genuine Harriers starting at only $499. Get this white tractor mower for under $3,000. Ask for a demo of a White Max, New Zealand's favourite lawn tractor and rear catcher, or this big new 40-inch cut Super Max with rear catcher. Let's face it, the difference between a garden being a real pleasure or a real pain is having the right equipment. We'll help you there at Motown, where I promise you, you'll do a good deal better.
When you're finding it hard to tell the wood from the trees, it's time to get Growing Today. Every month, Growing Today digs up all the dirt on all the issues, on the farm, in the orchard, and down at the bottom of your garden. Catch up with the latest breakthroughs in new technology. Get the lowdown on trees, organic crops, and livestock care, and learn how your land can work for you. Growing Today, everything the practical gardener and small farmer needs to know every month from booksellers and supermarkets nationwide.
Has no toxic heavy metals or other harmful additives. So using Levines will make a world of difference. I gotta tell ya, no one puts paint together better.
Every time you rent from Hertz during September, October and November, you'll go in the draw to win a super Fireglass powerboat and Yamaha outboard valued at almost $30,000. Just another reason to love Hertz.
There are many parts of Wellington that are easy on the eye. There is only one part of Wellington that is easy on the ear.
Wellington's easy listening. You're floating on the breeze.
Manchester Unity offers truly affordable, friendly society healthcare with its Medical Services Fund. A new option, affordable healthcare, is designed to help cover day-to-day medical costs for you and your family for just $6.15 a week, a little over $300 a year. It's for the kind of care a family needs most often. There's also individual cover available for just $200 a year. Call 0800 10 1842 and see how affordable healthcare can help. Manchester Unity for practical, affordable family healthcare.
TV3's turning on a red-hot September. If you watch TV3 throughout September, you'll have the chance to win an amazing red Mazda MX-5 convertible, as well as thousands of Coca-Cola prize packs. Watch TV3 or check out your daily paper for each day's question, and call 0900 63333 or send your answers on a self-addressed envelope to this address.
Draw 3 includes questions from the 15th to the 21st of September, and the third major winner will be announced on Sunday, September the 25th at 6:30 on TV3.
The Portland Cement Works near Whangarei is a dirty, grimy place which dominates its pretty coastal location. Since 1913, they've been quarrying and grinding limestone from the hills around here to produce bagged and bulk cement, and with not much regard to the inevitable damage to the immediate environment. Now, these things never happen overnight, but in the last few years, the management of the cement works has adopted a new attitude to the environment and the future.
The chemistry process is converting limestone into lime and carbon dioxide gas, and we do generate quite significant quantities of CO2 in that process.
So what kinds of environmental problems have been created over the years by the cement works?
What's happened over the years is really a lack of understanding of what the process did to the environment. As we've become more aware of that, we've taken steps to change that. We've started landscaping around the plant for two reasons. One, to give us some sort of niceness about the site, and the other to grow trees. Trees are great absorbers of CO2, so any trees that we plant actually help absorb some of the CO2 that we're generating.
As part of a 10-year plan, around 120,000 trees have been planted by the workers since 1988. Tea Tree Slash is establishing nurse crops, and the alkaline soil has been moderated with compost and something known as paunch grass.
Paunch grass is the undigested grass that is in stock when it's killed and cleaned out at the meatworks.
Recycling, I suppose.
We have around the site, around the edge of the site, a coastal strip which we're planting trees in that are coastal type variety trees to give us a border around the edge of the site. We also have a large area where material was previously stockpiled, which we have covered and are planting trees on to really make it a greener type site. And we also have in our quarries wetland developments in areas where we can't quarry, and to filter off the sediments that come off the quarries through a wetland system so that only clean water escapes from the site.
And it's not really that they've suddenly developed an expensive environmental conscience, more a realisation that in the long run, the respect earned as genuinely concerned and responsible producers must be good for business.
Nutrients and fertilisers, of course, are really important for the healthy growth of all plants. We like to make our own organic liquid fertilisers here using the natural resources of our own environment. Nettle is one of the liquid fertilisers that we make here. We grow it in drums so that we can keep it really easily contained and keep it really cut short so that it doesn't become a problem on the rest of the farm. Using gloves and hedge clippers, we trim it and constantly pile it into the nettle drum. Comfrey is one of my really favourite liquid fertilisers. All through the summer when the comfrey is growing really vigorously, we cut it and let it wilt and just pile it in the top here. Comfrey is a perfectly balanced liquid fertiliser, and there are lots of ways that you can use it. I use it in my Venturi system to irrigate the nursery. I dilute it and use it to fertilise my house plants and also my vegetable seedlings. And you can use it in your vegetable garden to fertilise your plants that are growing there. It takes a couple of months for the leaves to rot down enough to the point where you can start drawing it off the bottom. But once you're drawing it off the bottom, you can just keep adding leaves in the top and stirring it regularly, and you can just keep drawing it off the bottom. We use stinging nettle for lots of things here, and we found that liquid nettle fertiliser is an excellent compost activator. Cow manure is my really favourite, and I use cow manure, liquid cow manure, for just about everything. It's a fertiliser that needs to be stirred regularly, and it takes a couple of months for it to decompose enough so that you can draw off the clear liquid fertiliser from the bottom. Seaweed is a really popular liquid fertiliser because it has such a wide range of minerals and nutrients in it. I like to mix my liquid seaweed along with the other liquid fertilisers and apply them all together. If you're thinking of making your own liquid fertiliser, I suggest that you prop your drum up on a stand so that there's enough room to fit the bucket underneath the tap, and that you put your tap up 6 inches or so from the bottom of the drum so that it doesn't get blocked with debris, and that you just use the one drum so that you can mix your comfrey and your seaweed and your nettle, whatever you want to put in there, can all just go in together, and you can stir it regularly, and within a couple of months you can start drawing your clear liquid fertiliser off the bottom. In a home garden situation, I really recommend that you don't include any fish or fish guts because it really smells.
Water savings, water crisis, pipelines. It's all big news at the moment, and everyone's having their tuppence halfpenny worth, right down to the boys in the beehive. It's got to the point where we're all heartily sick of it, and we wish the whole thing would just go away. If you can believe the politicians, everyone wants the water problem sorted so things can get back to normal. Then we can all flush the loo like crazy, have nice deep baths, leave the taps running while we brush our teeth, you know, the way it's always been, the way it should be. Wrong. The she'll be right, there's plenty more where that came from attitude just simply won't wash anymore. And blaming the greenies for stirring the whole thing up is simply a cop-out. Like it or not, our natural resources are limited. And how long they last is up to us. We can binge or we can budget. Of course, budgeting can be a hassle, but if we stick at it, then it simply becomes a new way of life. And we're not talking about lugging buckets of rainwater around the house forever. A simple conservation device like a flush saver in the toilet cistern will cut your water consumption by 10%. Just fit and forget. It doesn't have to be that hard. A little effort goes a long way. But while the political football goes back and forth, we get confused and lose sight of the basic principle. Use what you need, not what you want. Binge or budget? I guess it's up to us. Coming up, hang up your hang-ups in a hanging basket on Jack's diary. And the Growing Today Green Thumb Contest, your first chance to win.
This is your typical New Zealand family. On Wednesdays Inside New Zealand, see what it's like to live in a family with 2 parents, 8 kids, and a baby on the way. Inside New Zealand follows the new series of Heartbreak High, 8:30 Wednesday on TV3.